Let me ask you something right off the bat. Imagine I put two things on the table in front of you. On one side, a heavy bag of gold. On the other, a simple clay tablet, but on it are carved the secrets to creating wealth from nothing. You can only pick one. Which one do you take?
Now be honest with yourself. Most of us, our gut instinct is to grab the gold, right? We think, hey, I'll take the instant freedom, I can figure out the wisdom part later. But there's this ancient story, this powerful lesson that tells us that's exactly the wrong choice.
You see, the story goes that gold you haven't earned yourself just vanishes. It runs through your fingers like sand. But wisdom? Give wisdom to someone with empty pockets, and they'll build a fortune that lasts for generations. And there is no better proof of this than the story of a son who had to lose absolutely everything to finally get it.
All right, so let's set the scene. You've got Arcad, the richest man in ancient Babylon. I mean, staggeringly wealthy. But he's got a classic rich dad problem. His son, Nomasir, has never worked a day in his life. Arcad knows that just handing over his vast fortune would be a curse, not a gift. He doesn't want to raise some ancient trust fund kid who's just going to blow it all. So, Arcad comes up with this high-stakes test. This isn't just about managing money, it's a test of character. He needs to know if his son has the wisdom to grow the fortune, not just burn through it.
So here's the deal he makes. He gives Nomasir two things: a pretty hefty bag of gold to get started, and a simple clay tablet, carved with what he calls the 5 laws of gold. The terms were brutal, really. Go out into the world, he says. Come back in 10 years. If you've used this gold wisely and grown it, you'll be my heir. If you fail, the entire fortune goes to the priests. No pressure, right?
And right here, this is the first crucial mistake. Nomasir, full of that youthful arrogance, he just grabs the bag of gold and rides off to the big city of Nineveh. He doesn't even bother to read the tablet. In his mind, he thinks, I've got the cash, what do I need some dusty old rules for? And you can probably guess what happens next, right? This is where the whole thing just goes off the rails. Nomasir gets to this big, bustling city, a young guy with a fat wallet and 0 street smarts. He's basically a walking target.
He falls for one of the oldest tricks in the book. Almost immediately, he meets some friendly guys who tell him about a horse race. It's a sure thing, they say. We've got insider info. This horse cannot lose. So, what does Nomasir do? He bets a huge chunk of his inheritance on it.
And poof, it's gone. The horse loses, of course. The whole thing was a setup. Think of this as the ancient version of a crypto rug pull. It was a complete scam, built on greed and trusting the absolute wrong people. And Nomasir fell for it, hook, line, and sinker.
But he still hasn't learned his lesson. With the little money he has left, he makes his second disastrous mistake. Another friend comes along with a business proposition that sounds amazing. You put up the cash for a shop, he says. I'll do all the work and we'll split the profits.
And it's gone. The partner turns out to be lazy and clueless. The business just bleeds money until every last piece of gold is gone. Nomasir hits rock bottom. He's forced to sell his horse, his slave, even his nice clothes, all just to buy a loaf of bread. The son of the richest man in the world is now starving on the streets.
This is his moment of truth. Totally broke, hungry, humiliated, Nomasir finally remembers the one thing he'd completely ignored, that clay tablet his father gave him. He pulls it out, unwraps it, and for the first time actually reads the words that could have saved him from all this.
So what were these 5 powerful laws that he just tossed aside? Let's walk through them, because honestly, they're just as true today as they were thousands of years ago. They are the timeless rules for building and keeping wealth.
The first law is the bedrock. It's the foundation of everything. Pay yourself first. Before you pay your landlord, before you buy food, you must put aside at least 1/10 of everything you earn for yourself. Without this, you have no seeds. You have nothing to plant for your future.
So once you're saving, the second law says you have to make that money work for you. It can't just sit there. But how you put it to work is where the third law comes in. And this is crucial. Seek wise counsel. Gold is protected when you invest it only under the advice of experts. This is exactly where Nomasir got burned with the horse race, right? He took gambling advice from scammers instead of finding people who actually knew what they were doing.
The fourth law is another huge one. Don't invest in businesses you don't understand, which, of course, is what he did with that shop. And that leads right into the fifth and final law, which is basically a giant warning sign against get-rich-quick schemes. Gold flees the man who tries to force it into impossible earnings. If an investment sounds too good to be true, it's a trap. Every single time.
So when you look back, Namasir's failures weren't bad luck, not at all. They were direct violations of these laws. The horse race, he broke Law 3 and Law 5. The failed chop, he broke Law 4. He was just playing the game without knowing any of the rules.
But now, with this new wisdom, he starts over. From scratch. He gets a tough job as a common laborer, but he follows Law 1, saving every single copper he can. After a while, an opportunity comes up to invest in a metal shipment, and it's a venture led by actual experts. He checks it against the laws, invests his tiny savings, and he doubles his money. And he just keeps doing that, over and over, slowly rebuilding.
And that brings us to the final chapter. 10 long years have passed. Namasir, no longer that arrogant kid, but a wise and humbled man, finally rides back to Babylon to face his father and the music.
So let's remember, he started this whole journey with 1 bag of gold, a very generous head start. Through sheer ignorance, he turned that into absolutely nothing. He learned the painful lesson that money without wisdom is basically worthless.
But here's the amazing part. This is the payoff. He doesn't just return what he lost. He walks up to his father and places 3 bags of gold at his feet. He tripled what he started with.
And that just perfectly proves the whole point of the story, doesn't it? Namasir proved that the wisdom on that little clay tablet was worth twice as much as the actual gold his father gave him. The money was just the test. The tablet, that was the real inheritance.
And that's the big takeaway for all of us. You can win the lottery, you can inherit a fortune, but if you don't understand these fundamental laws, it will slip right through your fingers. So let me ask you that same question again, but now with a little more perspective. Which would you rather have, the gold that can vanish overnight or the wisdom that can build a fortune from thin air?